hearing when my mum passed away. When it comes to the moment, there is little to say. The neglect and the withering of love are undramatic, smallly painful, hardly perceptible. And one day it is time to go, time to move on, time to move off. There are no belongings, there is nothing to take. And one day it is time to try and remember. Incidents fill the mind, but the feelings remain obstinately obscure. And one day the phone rings and they tell you that she has died, and the sound of the words is distorted, and the telephone feels unfamiliar in your hand, and you put out the light, and you imagine telephones ringing in darkened rooms, ringing and ringing in darkened rooms. Wherever it is dark, you imagine telephones ringing. And it probably will until I die. I think that I shall never see a billboard lovely as a tree. Indeed, unless the billboards fall, I'll never see a tree at all.
Reality clings on to me. Reality clings on to me when I wish him away. Even a vial of sweet denial can't cast the fiend astray. Reality clings on to me and makes it his employ to intervene should grasses green stir my old heart to joy. Reality clings on to me and claims he's all there is, but I've in me a galaxy of worlds so unlike his. Reality clings on to me no matter where I run. His cold embrace perverts my grace should I dance for a sun. Reality clings on to me and claims his breath is mine, but I will not hail my last exhale as proof of his design. Reality clings on to me, there's little I can do, but I will sing through all he brings. I pray you can sing too. I tried some automatic writing, but then I noticed the form appearing sort of automatically. So in some lines that are sort of nonsensical, but I like it anyway. Song. I can drag a stone across some sea and tug at leaves of grass. I can wonder what's become of me while pricking up your ears. I can look elsewhere for mountains while our sun is slowly born. I can stumble across a source of shouting, spitting feathers on our lawn. I can sway in wine, in rhythm curse, and bow down sure and tie my shoes. I can talk a robin into tears, and blend a future from marketed hues. I can read eternity in the etchings on a leaf, scored by a hungry caterpillar. I can square certainty with the pull of the surf, and squeeze deer into a cooler. I can conceal with the best of them, and rage perfect as myself. I can rescue countless Bethlehems, and throw my wineglass, learning grief. I can dance knowing all I care to know, and fill fake voids with rich disgust. I can dry what ice I've yet to thaw, with my take on the twist. I can beckon prophets up from earth and fall fetal in my library. I can yearn to have had a misspent youth and praise its sweet sobriety. I can run a hand through failing hair and lay before a starving wolf. I can revel in each stinging tear as wisdom undermines the self. I can gather twigs for the fire of my heart and rot them at its hearth. I can bleach denial until it scars the immortal poetry of my earth.
I did have another one to leave. It's my fault. I gave it to Mum last night to my mummy, and she went to give it back to me. No, give it to me tomorrow. It's my fault. This is what I wrote. It's completely different for me. A completely different subject. for Norma. It's a bit off for me. Yeah, okay. Woodland love. Last week I walked in the woods. The sun beat down and vultures flew overhead. The ground crunched as I walked, dry, crisp leaves underfoot. The sun beat down while vultures flew overhead. Toads sang their spring song. It echoed from a lake nearby. The sun beat down while vultures flew overhead. Unfamiliar but wonderful bird song could be heard in the trees as the sun beat down and vultures flew overhead. Turtle bathed in warm water on rivers log and rock as the sun beat down while vultures flew overhead. Wonderful aromas of strange and beautiful wildflowers delighted my senses and bathed my soul as the sun beat down while vultures flew overhead. You held my hand and kept me safe. We searched for morels. The sun beat down while vultures flew overhead. You saved me from the poisonous snake, the not poisonous snake, and we laughed as the sun beat down and vultures flew overhead. We found few morals, but what we did find was each other as the sun beat down and you filled my world with love. This week I walked in the woods. The rain fell and the clouds drifted overhead. The ground squelched as I walked, soggy leaf and mud underfoot. The rain fell and the clouds drifted overhead. Droplets of water sparkled on rain-jeweled plants. The rain fell and clouds drifted overhead. Birds and trees sang familiar but still beautiful songs, and the rain fell and clouds drifted overhead. Bluebells and wild garlic carpeted the ground, the air filled with intoxicating aroma. As the rain fell and clouds drifted overhead, the old oak trees with their twisted arthritic branches lined the skyline. As the rain fell and clouds drifted overhead, rhododendrons bloomed at the side of a hidden pond where the water lay still and silent. The rain fell as clouds drifted overhead. I walked across the common. Small birds darted in and out of long grass. The rain fell and clouds drifted overhead. I came to a beach, deserted golden sands, the sun glinting and dancing on water. The rain fell, this time in my heart, as you were not there to hold my hand.
I'd be sorry if Scotland decided to go independent. One fully understands why they want to do it. But to put it perhaps in a more terse way, we need Wales, Yorkshire, all the other parts of this country to fight against metropolitan London. Not the people of London, instead. Not the people of London. But this kind of monster that's the cancer that is really sucking the life and the culture of this country and putting substitutes in there. I wrote a song about Wales where I thought the north and the south and the east and the west would join together okay. And I feel so strongly about Scotland that I'm tempted to send this to the Together campaign actually. It's called One Land and I've changed it in one or two lines. It's a choral song with verses and chorus. Let the land be one land, in union truly one. Let secret fields and mountains be gifts for everyone. Let the north ways and the south ways and east and west too see clear the stream of history that flows through me and you. Let people share its magic whilst building life anew on anguished land beneath them, needing love warm and true. It's a land like many others, one claim alone there be, a past that fills one's being with a spirit proud and free. Together in freedom, together the dream, a rainbow of futures from a past that's been, a poem of people, conceived above compassion and warmth and truth and love. A silver tree green in place grew tall beneath the sun. Its roots searched for meaning in earth's enduring run. Such are we, often roaming, chasing time in days above, travelling back in quiet longing to the land that we love. Together in freedom, together the dream, a rainbow of futures from a past that's been, a poem of people, together in rhyme, a harmony of words defying time. One land free, made to be for you and me, you and me, you and me. Yes, my friend, for you and me. Free, free, free. One land free. Thank you. That it is not the material things that are real, right? Not real. It's life in all its power. Not us, not our life form, but all the life forms. There's a life force there, right? And the question to ask is, what's it all about? When you start thinking, the sun is really life and everything winds around life. It isn't material and everything goes around material. It's a reversal. Immensity of life is called. Life is the immensity of before and after. Ask not why there is life in our starry realms. Ask why such realms exist in life's eternal garden. To be is to be aware of being. Else how can it be to be like the you and the me? I know I am, and you know you are too. How can you see that? The only fact in time's puzzle that's needed to explain all is that fact. We know we are. We know we are. Everything should go out from that. We are the sun. Beauty paints pictures in life's bubble halls, and the universe is life's coloured play. And when probability of being is next to nothing, then life's certainty. But equal signs the power life gives, for numbers mighty serve to conceal what truly lives.
Made by sisters. As a teenager, I worked to keep the Neath Valley supplied with bread. My mother made sure I didn't go hungry on the job. I liked variety in my food, so when my mother asked what I wanted in my sandwiches, I said, I don't mind, but put something different in each one. It was a long day working as a van boy for Mother's Pride out of the Morriston depot. I used to munch through 8 sandwiches a day, 4 for the breakfast break, 4 for lunch. My mother passed the job of sandwich maker to my grumbling sisters. Christine complained, "Why can't you have the same in all of them?" "Because he's a boy," my mother answered, ordering that my very reasonable multiple sandwich filler demands should be met. Unless pinned down on what counted on different and not the same for sandwich filling, Christine would try it on. My mother laid down the law. No, he can't have 8 types of jam sandwiches. I worked on a few different routes, including a run from shop to shop in the Neath Valley. Sid, the van driver, was known in the depot as the grumpy sod who does Crynant and Beneath. I was pleased one Monday morning when Mike was there instead, because Sid was on holiday. To save time, we began breakfast on the move, reversing out of resolving and backing out of Banwin. To make conversation, Mike asked, "What's in the sandwich?" "Marmalade," I said. "And I've got a cucumber one, a cheese and onion, a ham and pickle, an egg, a tomato and lettuce, a corned beef, and a raspberry jam one." Mike started his laughing breakfast. "Which is your favourite?" he spluttered. "None of these can match a golden syrup," I explained. Rounding a bend in Seven Sisters, for the merest fraction of a second, Mike took his eye off the road. "That was close," he said. "Not for my raspberry sandwich." I pointed at the jam splattered bowl.
Poem on the Underground. Proud readers hide behind tall newspapers. The young are all arms and legs, knackered by youth. Tourists sit bolt upright, trusting in nothing. Only the drunk and the crazy aspire to converse. Only the poet peruses his poem among the adverts. Only the elderly person observes the request that the seat be offered to an elderly person. Having been sort of on the Underground quite a lot, you're quite grateful for just anything to read. So, and you don't really get to talk to many people, so despite being crammed up their armpits most of the time. So Gerard said in his editorial for this book, "Since the inception of Poems on the Underground, we have been London-based, though posters of poems reach schools and libraries across Britain and abroad. Our choice of poems is always made with the London traveller in mind, especially the traveller on the Underground. We try to keep a sense of perspective, recognising that posters, even of great poetry, are ephemeral and public art a modest element in the urban scene. Still, every now and then a poem seems particularly appropriate, especially as our selection reappears in book form. Some years ago, we displayed a poem by the great Polish poet Czesław Miłosz, I hope I said that right, and it's called And Yet Books, which we displayed again more recently to mark Poland's entry into the European Union. Now, as when it was written, more than 20 years ago, it beautifully defines the function of literature in uncertain times, and some of the volumes have been going on the year before this as well. So, and yet the books will be there on the shelves, separate beings that appeared once still wet as shining chestnuts under a tree in autumn, and touched, coddled, began to live in spite of fires on the horizon, castles blown up, tribes on the march, planets in motion. We are, they said, even as their pages were being torn out or a buzzing flame licked away their letters. So much more durable than we are, whose frail warmth cools down with memory, disperses, perishes. I imagine the earth when I am no more. Nothing happens, no loss. It's still a strange pageant. Women's dresses, dewy lilacs, a song in the valley. Yet the books will be there on the shelves, well born, derived from people, but also from radiant heights.
Right. This is part of that's, as you can see probably, this white little humorous, semi-rude songs and whatever. This is called Love Isn't What It Used to Be. Love isn't what it used to be. No siree. No siree. No shrinking violets, too scared to say yes. No leading up to a gentle caress. Just grab a handful and damn the finesse. Love isn't what it used to be. Love's getting really up to date. And the kids think it's great. No, pray unhand me, I'd rather be dead. No asking Papa permission to wed. It's just, hi honey, and hop into bed. Love isn't what it used to be. It's quite apparent that a parent is a dear old-fashioned thing. He'll brood for days on a liaison that hasn't got a wedding ring. But now it's a different cup of tea. Love is gay, love is free. Mary on Monday, and with no remorse, marry on Monday, and with no remorse, set out on Tuesday to get a divorce. Then find another on Wednesday, of course. Oh, love isn't what it used to be. They used to do their minuetting in a manner most genteel. But now it's, you there. With your petting, it's like a blinking 5-course meal. No, love isn't what it used to be. It used to be just like champagne. Now it's gone down the drain. So don't send them flowers to put round their necks. What good are flowers? They'd rather have checks. To hell with a romance. Let's start on the sex. No, love isn't what it used to be.
A jazz quartet has done a version, and what's the other thing? Hopefully celebrity versions of Under Milkwood as well. They're also moving away from what Dylan originally intended. Under Milkwood was a play for voices originally, but it's gone quite away from that. There are good sides and bad sides to doing that. Anyway, I got along with it, this poem. It's my version of Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. I tried this last night. It was a disaster. But anyway, here we go. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn the grave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words have fought no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and wait a minute, where was I?
Caught the sun in flight.
Oh, caught the sun in flight, and when too late it grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men, near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Do not go gentle into that good night. And you, my father, there on that sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the lights.
In the Gwyn Hall, and it was on the first place she lived. So this is about the first place I lived, which was the Saltings Flats in Britain Ferry, if anybody remembers them. So this is Return Journey. This is the lavatory lift. This is the vomit-stained stairs. This is Neath Council's gift, a life free of all cares. This is high-rise living. This is how they do it in France. The wind is howling and blowing. The cockroaches come for a dance. Here are the forgotten people, troublemakers, addicts, just out of jail. In a block higher than any church steeple, to urban planning let us all hail. Here is the empty space. This is the vacuum it left. The tenants have rejoined the race. The modernist dream is bereft. After Osama bin Laden was executed by the Americans, the American National Security Advisor was being interviewed on television, and they asked her, what will America do if the threat from Islamic extremism comes down? And she said, we'll have to find a new enemy. And she said, perhaps the Greens could be the new enemy like the Reds were in the 50s. So this is, in the spirit of McCarthy, green is the new red. Someone has been planting seeds of subversion, for they are greens growing under my flower bed. They have taken root in fertile soil. I can see the green shoots break the surface of society. Their fragrant flowers bud and bloom and try to pollinate our polity. They are greens growing in my window box. They are getting closer all the time. They are turning the free market into a madman's market garden. But even if we lack defoliant, I will not turn over a new leaf. The grass is greener on the other side, and so is my valley. There are greens growing up my trousers. My arms have become apple blossoms. Turnips take root in my ears, and my mouth is full of marigolds.